How about them San
speaking,
Francisco Giants?
speaking of disasters, and it's funny. It's funny that Kapler got fired, and I want to say the funny part about that
He's got hand
is
tattoos. He's got to be the first manager with tattoos and who's been
when
fired with tattoos.
when he got hired, I remember us. There's moments I remember on this show, and I remember us talking about him getting hired and how it seemed like the most terrible hiring in baseball history because he just got fired from the Rangers, I believe, right? It was the Rangers? Phillies, sorry. He got fired from the Phillies because it was a complete dumpster fire, right?
They did not like him in Philadelphia.
No. So he comes to the Giants and somehow
they win 107 games.
They give it 107 fucking games, right? Like out of nowhere. Then the next season, it's like all back to normal. And then this season, it looks like
he's done
it again. He's done it again. It looks like he's done it again. And we were 2.5 games out of first place in like fucking August to the Dodgers. Or I'm sorry, mid-July to the Dodgers. And then the second half is like a complete collapse.
You're the worst offense in baseball in the second half.
Yeah. And
that's a problem.
He deserves to be fired. He probably should. I'll be honest. He should have never been hired in the first place.
Wow. Even after 107 wins 2 years
ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was an anomaly. I think that was just a team.
Definitely an anomaly, but he doesn't get any credit.
I give him no credit, but
I've heard he's just an ass. Like people
he's a fucking asshole, but there's an interesting scenario that has been built up again. And this is me not doing my homework. I forgot to look this up. Has Bob Melvin been officially fired from the Padres?
No, he's keeping his job. They just announced it yesterday. Yeah, it's kind of surprising actually. But
okay, because I thought of a really funny scenario. So I thought he was getting let go because Bruce Bochy was let go by the Padres and then went on to 3 championships with the Giants.
Oh, if you could pick up Melvin, yeah.
I thought they would pick up Melvin because Melvin is the type of guy.
He's a good manager.
When you look at the A's are always a team essentially made up of a bunch of young players. With a couple veterans sprinkled in to help try to push them over the top. And Bob Melvin knows how to navigate that.
What happened in San Diego.
Well, what he may not know how to navigate is a bunch of fucking egos on a team, which is what he has there.
Yeah, he needs a Joe Torre mentality or something.
Right. Yeah, whatever it is to push like all that big money over the top. So I felt like if he was indeed being released by the Padres, that the Giants should pick him up for their manager, because essentially what they have is this nucleus similar to the Cubs. They have a really good farm system right now, a farm system that in many people's eyes sort of came out of nowhere to a degree, that is very solid. They're going to be able to build from that farm system and sprinkle in veterans to be competitive. And that's the type of manager they need to go after, I think.
But you can't have him there in San Francisco.
No, we can't have Melvin there in San Francisco, but there's definitely whoever they go after needs to be someone who doesn't have that mentality. And this is maybe more of like the La Russa mentality, but there are managers who don't like to play up and coming talent and always say like the veterans deserve to get the start, and they need someone who knows how to navigate that mix, like a Bruce Bochy, who was currently navigating that for the Rangers
into the second round of the playoffs.
And
that's what she said.
And so we'll see what they go after there. But you want to talk about epic collapses too? Yeah. I mean, the Cubs at least were in it till the end, to your point, which I don't know what is worse, right?
It's partially because it's not the same kind of division that the NL West is.
So. No, but at the same time, the NL West, I'm just talking wild card here.
Yeah. The Diamondbacks beat you out.
The Cubs.
Diamondbacks are fucking good.
The Cubs came in and kicked the San Francisco rolled into Chicago and the Cubs kicked the shit out of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just talking wild card here. I'm not talking about division. Wild card, the Giants are right there. They had a game and a half lead coming into Chicago. They blew that wad.
Yeah.
That positioned the Cubs in the driver's seat at that point. That's when the Cubs took that wild card lead.
Yeah.
Was in that Giants series,
That was fun.
but no, it wasn't. But
we didn't even talk much shit during that series.
Well, we never went on the air because I was so fucking devastated. I was in a
sulking.
I was in a baseball fetal position, basically.
Sucking your thumb.
Sucking my thumb at that point. I'm like, no, like I'm making up reasons I can't do a podcast, Ryan.
I never thought that, but
no, I didn't. I didn't make up reasons, but
I also didn't want to make you record a podcast when you fucking hate baseball. So
I do.
I wouldn't blame you for hating everything that was going on with the White Sox.
I will say I enjoy baseball a lot more right now doing this podcast. So
this is what the podcast is all about. This is
thank
therapy.
You for forcing me onto the air tonight, onto the
Catharsis podcast.
But
just for you.
But I'll be I don't think the Giants are as bad as how they ended up. I've got
some questions.
They have a legit we'll get to those in 1 second. Just let me finish this thought. I think they have the farm system and a nucleus at the major league level to compete next year, but they need someone who knows how to manage that and navigate that. So that's what I'll say, and go with your questions.
I think you need a little more offense, as I pointed out. That you're the worst offense in baseball in the second half of the season, which is
at the second half of the season, but we were one of the best in the first half. That's what makes no fucking sense.
So I want to take you back to the trade deadline. I can never pronounce your general manager or president's name, but what did you guys do besides pick up AJ Pollock?
We did nothing, deadline? And I said it at the deadline.
Yeah, I said it at the deadline. I remember that.
I was pissed.
They also released AJ Pollock.
Yeah, I mean,
with like a month to go.
It was a fucking disaster. It was at least the Cubs got a jolt with Candelario, but it was probably the only worse trade deadline moves than
Candelario was fucking great.
He was. He was a jolt to the system there. Yeah. And the Giants got no jolt. They thought, and we talked about this on the air, they thought they had enough to get the wild card, and they already had given up the division.
Isn't that your general manager's fault and not the manager?
It is the general manager's fault, but at the same time, the manager had navigated them to that position.
I think they fired. The funniest thing about Kapler getting fired is they fired him with 3 games left in the season. Like, what is that? I don't think I've ever heard of that. Like, why?
Yeah, I
what
agree.
What did that do other than just embarrass him?
Well, maybe it was that unliked even by the Giants that they wanted to embarrass him.
I'm wondering if there was some kind of blow up or something weird that happened, because we've heard things behind the scenes with Kapler that I don't know. I thought that was bizarre, but I think your GM is feeling some heat, and he needed to fire the manager to take some pressure off of him. But I just couldn't believe that the only move you guys made was picking up AJ Pollock, and then you ended up dumping him like a month and a half later. So I think that's where your issues stem from, and I'm sure there's a plan going forward that I'm not aware of. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, none of us are aware of.
Yeah, but I could see if things don't turn around that your GM gets tossed next year. But
I don't see our GM getting tossed because he's from the Dodgers organization and has a history of success. So the Giants have a way of sticking to a plan.
It was not much of a plan this year.
And I think maybe it was, though. We don't know. So
I think we do.
Word Hole Media.